Okay, so this is basically my candid feelings right now. I have been going through a lot mentally because there have been a lot of things that's just making me extremely uncomfortable. I have basically been dealing with homelessness for the last 2 years, since 2018, actually since 2016, but then I wasn't homeless again for really until 2018, basically on and off for like the last 2 years. And it's just at the point where I'm like literally at a breaking point. I'm originally from New Jersey, and I'm back here for a week visiting family. I got in last night, Tuesday night, the last day of June 2020, and it's officially been a little over 24 hours. And I'm very excited to be here and see my family, but everything that I have going on right now is like overwhelming, and it's beginning to affect my trip because I have like all this stuff going on in the back of my head, and it's very hard for me to be mindful and present in my current reality. I was Before I became homeless in 2018, I was in a domestic violence situation with a man 40 years older than me. I am 24, and he's basically exactly 40 years older than me. So before I left, he stole my car that I bought by myself before I met him, and I had to leave all my belongings there: clothes, shoes, medical records, electronics, just anything. Just think about, I mean, I didn't like have my own place, but I like had everything I owned in that room that I was staying in for 2015 to 2018. So imagine every single one of everything you could possibly you own to your name just being gone. And I had to leave that situation and leave all those material possessions behind, because that was basically what he was holding over my head, as well as like financial stuff. And I literally left. This is Sacramento, California, mind you. I'm still living in California, but I'm just out here in Jersey. But I've been living in Northern California for the last 5 years, and 3 years into it, I literally left and went to a homeless youth shelter at 22 years old with only $500 in my account. And now I'm still going through that. I had an apartment after that for almost a year through this program. It was like a subsidized program that's supposed to help youth get stable housing. And right before that was over, I had a breakdown because I was just so overwhelmed about life and everything. And even now, I'm still catching up from stuff that I didn't get to, take care of from that past situation. I'm not going to call it a relationship because it wasn't. It was based on fear. It was a dictatorship. I was scared the entire time, because I thought that I was accepting of it at some points, but then I was reading in my notes app. I would write little diary entries about how I was feeling, and I did not like my situation. I just kind of wore a mask. And now, I don't know. I'm gonna make this YouTube or wherever I'm gonna post this and just make like, you know, candid posts, and I'm not gonna worry about views or monetizing. Like, I really want to be like a formal YouTuber, but at this point I'm really emotional, and this is putting it on a platform is my way of getting what I want to say out there and just being raw and authentic to the best way I know. Like, forget all the editing and all that too. It's just like, if I feel like doing it, okay, but if I don't, then okay. And I'm thinking of doing I'm not even thinking, I'm gonna do a fundraiser, and I'm gonna have an official GoFundMe page, a GiveButter page, and I'm going to link my Venmo and all that stuff in this description box. So I kind of wanted to, that's why I was thinking about doing the title, like something about a fundraiser. Either way, it's like, that this will all be a part of the fundraiser, but it's like, I'm gonna have a fundraiser, but then like, if you want to really see like what I'm going through and like why I'm asking for the fundraiser and all this kind of stuff, like watching these videos will help you understand like the reason why I'm in this position. And I'm like really giving my raw words and my raw feelings out, because a lot of them is mainly just extreme frustration. And the more I talk and give, you know, make videos about like why I feel the way I feel, and why, not saying that all of my justifications are valid, but I feel like most of them are, because of my background and where I came from and everything. And so yeah, I've been homeless since 2018, got my car stolen, took public transportation for the last couple years. In April of this year, I bought another car. I was happy because it was a milestone. It was really rough. I tried to work on public transportation, and I literally like overworked myself just because of the travel time and waking up like 3-4 hours before I had to go into work, just because the commute time took either an hour and a half to 2.5 hours because of the public transportation. So something's 15, 20, 30 minutes away, it's like triple that time in public transportation. So it's just ridiculous. You need a car for everything where I'm at. And so that's what it is. So now I bought a car, had it for 2 months. It was a Chevy, and I'm no longer getting any type of American car because my last car was a Ford, and it was having like little issues too. Those cars are just like build cars that you can build up and tear down, because they don't even last as long as they try to make it seem. I thought, oh, it's an American car, but I really was thinking very backwards. And I already started having issues like with the throttle body and just like other stuff I don't feel like talking about, but it was just little stuff, I guess. Actually, yeah, the fuel sensor was messed up. Like, why would a fuel sensor be messed up? And when I was Googling that, it's like, that's like one of the least problems that a car should have. Like really, like my gas level was going up and down for no reason. And then when I got the car, I got it from like this used dealership, and of course they're acting like everything was fine. I didn't know, like, because I got a car from a used dealership before, and I mean, and it did have problems right off the bat. I mean, I'm not even gonna lie, like, but my car was still under warranty, so I was like taking it in. But this car was like a 12-year-old car, so like, or 13, whatever, year old. So I'm just like, you know, and I thought the mileage was pretty good. It was like a little over, it was like under 115,000 miles in like '07. And like, it's just crazy that so last week, Wednesday, I got into a car accident. I was rear-ended. I was trying to make a lane change, and I was already looked in my mirror, was already in the lane and began accelerating, and I got rear-ended. Car was totaled from the back. It was not drivable whatsoever. The left tire was literally bent out of place, so the frame of the car was affected, and that's not repairable. And I literally don't know anything else about my case. I already reported to the insurance, and I also have an attorney for, to seek damages, as far as like injuries. I mean, it's like I wasn't hurt too bad, but I had like a pounding headache for some days and then back pain. But honestly, my mental injuries are like far superior than my physical, because I've already been dealing with the mental illness since 2016. A year after I got here in California, I was diagnosed with bipolar. Even though that diagnosis is not accurate all the way, I don't think it's really accurate at all, but my main diagnosis is PTSD and major depression. And I got diagnosed with those in 2014. Those are more, but the symptoms of PTSD can often mirror those of bipolar 1. Which is why they thought that, because I was literally having like episodes where I was like not present, literally, and there was no coming back from that until I was medicated and like sedated and like medicated and all that, like psych meds was even the only thing to calm me down, not anything traditionally. No one could actually talk me down, talk me out of it. I literally had to go to a hospital each time I had an episode. And I've had so many episodes over the past few years. It's like you have to use more than 2 hands to count. I've been hospitalized over 8 to 10 times, more than 10. It's just ridiculous. And I mean, I have a lot of struggle that I've been through. And yeah, so I had a car accident. But backtracking, I lost my apartment. I was homeless in June 2018, got my car stolen, all that, left all my belongings behind, with $500 in my name, went to a youth shelter, stayed there for a few months, got linked with that program, moved in my apartment October 2018, stayed there till September 2019, and I was actually just supposed to get on the housing list for Section 8. I forgot what the new name of it is, but I just saying that, but it's like, hey, that's what was lined up for me. I was willing to, keep working my way up and out of all that, but a couple of days before I got my Section 8, I was arrested because I had an episode to the point where I got suicidal, and I was cooking some vegetables, and I had a jacket like laying near the stove, and the stove caught fire. And I didn't do it intentionally, but since I already saw the fire and I was already feeling bad, I was thought like, hey, let me make something to eat. But then I was already feeling really bad, and when I saw the fire, I was like, oh, I could just end it all now. The fire's already going. And not realizing that I'm in an apartment complex and that I could potentially harm other people and stuff like that. And then so once the fire began going, I ended up drinking bathroom cleaner and just laying on the floor. But I don't remember too much, because I don't even remember next thing I know, there's lights flashing outside of my apartment window, and the fire department's here, and then I don't even know how the police got in the door. I don't know. I mean, usually my door is locked, and somehow they maybe they might have kicked the door in or something, because they were in there, and they was reading my rights and all that. But I was literally remember talking about oh, we're gonna go on an adventure or something like that. I really did not think. I was just oh, y'all must be taking me to the hospital. I just think, yeah, that's what I kept saying, y'all must be taking me to the hospital, because that's usually whenever I have an episode, that's where they take me, because I've had the cops called on me before, or where they would see what I'm doing. But I guess since it was to the point where a building was on fire, like they couldn't, and like I started it, even though I was not in my right mind. So they handcuffed me. They probably thought I was like on drugs or something, but I really was. I'm sure if they would have looked in my, did blood work, like it was just marijuana and alcohol in my system, and like the cleaner, like I didn't do any like hardcore drugs, and so I thought they were taking me to the hospital, and then they were like, oh, and then when I got there, I was like, this doesn't look like the hospital, like this is like, and they're like, oh, you're at Sac County Jail. I was like, Sac County Jail, like. Okay. All right. But I still didn't realize where I was at, even though they told me, because I was still, and even though they were giving me meds, it took me like, that was like a really intense episode, because that episode was going on for like maybe a week. I was literally just isolated inside my apartment and just like not even going outside. Just not. I mean, I didn't have a car or anything. I didn't feel like taking the bus anywhere, walking anywhere, really. So I just stayed in the house and just was just entertaining myself on my phone and stuff, but I wasn't doing well. I was already just in the episode, just in my own world, but I was just stuck at home. And so it took me like almost a week to even realize, like really just understand everything. And then I was like, okay, so now y'all gonna take me to the hospital? Because I was in the psychiatric unit. I thought maybe they would like take me to the hospital after, but they didn't. I was forced to stay there. And then I didn't know, because I'd never been arrested before. I'd never been to jail before, because they would always take me to the hospital. But since anyway, so long story short, I do jail time like a little over a month, and then I get with my attorney and she applies for mental health court. But the reason why I was even in there for a month was because I was waiting for my application for mental health court to be approved. And then once it did end up getting approved, and what mental health court is that when you're charged with something, if you complete a 1-year program successfully, the charge comes off your record like it never happened, basically. And I'm already 7 months in, so I have 5 more months left to go. Like, you can't be doing any drugs or alcohol. You have to be on an approved treatment care plan by your provider. You have to just be following everything and just like making a better life for yourself. You have to show them. You don't show up in court, but because of the coronavirus, we actually haven't had court since March, but we are resuming court in July, and it will be via Zoom. So, but long story short, after I got out of jail in November, I went back to the youth shelter, and then after that, I went into another shelter, and I don't really want to disclose all that because I know I probably can't, but so yeah, I don't even want to say like kind of like what it could be because of anonymity, but I went to another like longer term shelter, and I was there till April of this year. So basically I bought my car, and then 2 weeks later I moved out, got a hotel for a little bit, like the hotel that's like a studio or has a kitchen and all that in it, a stove and all that, microwave, bathroom, like usually, yeah. I got one of those studio hotels for like a little bit, and then I moved in with my friend and stayed in her living room for a little bit, and now I'm like in another kind of program thing. So last week, got in a car accident, and now my head is going crazy because I'm like, I literally just got so close, like one step closer, not even so close, but one step closer to independence. And like, it just got taken away from me like that. And now I'm back. I have not taken public, I have not like done anything like that. All I did was just take an Uber somewhere, but I'm like, it's like at least I was in a car, and like, it's just crazy. Like, I know every time I try to get a job through public transportation, like, I end up not, like, it's not, it's too stressful. It's so stressful because it's like, and then I remember one time on the way to work on one of my last jobs, the light rail was like late or delayed, and if you're late for work because of they're not gonna excuse that. And it's like, even if I'm early every day, like, the bus is unreliable. It's unreliable. It does not get there when it gets there. You have to be really early because it could come early or it could come late, and then sometimes you miss it even if you like try to time it. It's just not reliable. So at this point, I'm not even gonna attempt to get a job while I don't have a vehicle. I tried it both times. It didn't work. The longest I could keep that job was 5 months. I just didn't want to do it. I was like, okay, you know what, next time. And I told myself, I'm not going to get another job. Sorry for the hand stuff. I'm just really frustrated. And it's like, sorry. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to get another job until I get a car, period. Like, it's just not happening. And it's like, I was fighting for my freedom for so long, and now that I have my freedom, I'm fighting for my comfortability, like, so bad. And like, I'm staying in places like, because Sacramento, it gets like over 100 like throughout the summer, like a lot. And like, I'm staying at places where people don't want to run their AC, people don't want to do this. But then again, it's like, I'm the one who's homeless, like, I shouldn't be complaining. But at the same time, it's like, I have a charge on my hands. I'm like, it's gonna fall off. It's like, I want to work so bad, but then I don't have a car, And then it's like, even if I did have a car, it's like, who knows if I'm gonna even get the job because of my charge. Like, I have starting a fire is arson. Arson, if you look up arson, it's a serious charge. And I applied to a couple of things, got denied. And so it's like, so now I'm like thinking about going through a staffing agency because maybe, they should work with people with backgrounds. So it's like, I'm not even gonna try to like do it the normal way. Like, I have 5 more months. So like, if worst come to worst case scenario, I don't land a job anywhere, I will definitely be able to get one beginning of 2021. But then again, it's like, I'm just dealing with these like uncomfortable ass situations where like, I'm not even about to like go in on that, because like, it's just little stuff that you would think that I should be grateful for, and I am. But it's like, I've been dealing with like the little uncomfortable things like so long from different situations that like, all of it is building up and like making me like want to blow my head off. Like, seriously, like, that's kind of why I'm making this video, like, as an awareness to myself, so I can just like, I want to reference back where I am. I want to make sure I never come back to this moment. I don't like swearing lists. Like, I freaking promise. I don't want to be here ever again. Like, this situation. Never getting an American car ever again. Like, I saved up that money for months to get that car, and now it's gone. And like, I'm sure I'm gonna get money back for the car because I was rear-ended and I should not be the one at fault. But it's like, the fact that I was, making a lane change, they could argue that it could partially be my fault for not looking, but I looked and there wasn't anything there. So that person had to be going faster than normal, because how could they just come up all of a sudden faster than the other traffic around? So either way, I haven't seen the police report, which is another thing that's bothering me, because like, they can't email it to me, they can't do nothing. I have to literally go physically pick it up and have to get a ride there because I don't have a car. And I do not know exactly what it says, and I still have 5 days here. So it's just like everything is brimming, and I was even considering not coming until things got more stable. But at the same time, it's like if I'm trying to get a job, I would have been wondering in the back of my head, like, I should at least see them, you know what I mean, before I try to get, because I have not been here since 2016, 4 years. So I'm like, oh, I had to come. And it's great, and I feel like I had a sigh of relief. I know that this is a safe haven for me when I want to come back, but like I can't, like, it's very difficult for me to focus and be like, it's so hard. It's so hard. And dealing at the shelter, dealing with the showers being all dirty and nasty, and having to spend 10-20 minutes each single time I'm trying to shower. Every single time, having to wake up so early just to do things that I have somehow I would like to have it, because I have to live a certain way. And even though I'm like homeless, like I have to still be comfortable where I'm at. And like at that time, I had literally nowhere else to go. That was a safe place for me to go to bed. But at the same time, in order to wash my butt, I have to freaking like do a whole cleaning, basically, of the bathroom, everything, because people were just so, you know, like I said, they're at a shelter. Like a lot of people don't have the same, didn't grow up the way I did, not used to what I'm used to. So like I have to do things, and I feel like I really am like the definition of broke and bougie. And I don't even think I'm bougie. It's just like I'm normal. Like who doesn't want a clean bathroom? Like who doesn't want? I just have my own standards, and like people, no one will ever meet your standards. Like, you know, like if you have your own, especially as an adult, you're an adult. I'm used to already having my own place. And that episode I had in September 2019 was the first episode I had in a year. So in a year, I was paying my rent on time, bills paid on time, everything paid on time, food in my fridge, you know, and I get SSI for my disability. I feel like I did budget my money well, because I had food in my, like I said, bills paid, food, like I had my bus pass, I was working, I was literally on track. But the thing, I feel like what triggered it was like, they kept saying, like, the program I was in, that I had to like find my own like Section 8 apartment. Everybody was full, every single waitlist was full. So like, even though I was about to get it, and it was just others, I don't know, like, oh, I know also why. Yeah, I found out a few weeks before I got arrested. I think like that's what set me off. That the person that I left a year before that, I forgot that I knew I had left my electronics there, right? And y'all know how Apple is with the iCloud. I didn't realize that my iCloud was still logged in on a MacBook that I left at that place. And so for the last year, he'd been looking at whatever was on my iCloud he could look at. And I'm just assuming he saw everything. He knew, so he knew where I was living. He knew who I was dating. He knew where I was going. He knew everything. Probably passwords. Literally like a week after, and I believe that's why I quit my job too, because a week after that happened, like I spent the next week like freaking trying to change every single password, change this, change that, do this. I'm like, he will literally not leave me the fuck alone. Like, I have a stalker, and I'm homeless, and I have a stalker. Okay, hold on. I'm about to freaking continue this video.